Hello, welcome back to Kinking Out Loud with Gothic Hell. Today I want to talk briefly about something that is really important. Consent. Consent is the one thing that you always need to make BDSM work, and without it, you shouldn't even try doing it. Everyone knows about having to get consent from subs to do anything. Always get consent from especially the subs. But I think one thing that isn't talked about at all, something that is really important, consent is needed by both parties. That's something that is often overlooked. Because, of course, it's important for subs to give consent, since they are the ones who are receiving it, the ones who are on the vulnerable end of things. But it seems to be overlooked heavily that the dominants also need to give their consents to do anything, to be in a scene, and especially before a scene starts even. I have subs coming into my inbox a lot, and then immediately talk to me like I am a dominant woman. And I never did consent to this. I never gave my consent to be talked to like this. Even though you think it's a good thing, it is not. You need to get my consent to do anything BDSM or kink related. Otherwise, yeah, you're doing something I don't want to do. And even if you think you're doing the right thing, even though you think you're doing something respectful, it really isn't. There are multiple occasions, not only for DOMs, but also for subs, where people go into each other's inbox and start doing kink-related things right away without consent. For example, many DOMs, well, at least some DOMs, go into inbox of people who are outwardly and openly submissive and start off by saying, "Bow down to me, slave, I own you now," or some stupid shit like that. Like, "Call me mistress now, I am your goddess." Like, things like that. And it's not just femdoms, it's dominance in general. Thinking that just because it says you're submissive, that means, oh, I am allowed to be dominant towards you. I'm allowed to treat you like a sub. But the thing I don't think people think about even, is that these submissives are people too. And these people did not give you consent to do this to them. So every time you go into someone's inbox, a submissive's inbox, and treat them like that, well, you can't really complain when the same thing happens back then, can you? And just like submissives get dominants in their inbox talking to them like that, dominants get the same thing from submissives, and obviously it's more frowned upon when it's from the dominant to the submissive, because the submissive is apparently in the, the weaker position, the underdog position. However, that doesn't make it okay to do the same thing to dominants. I think it's really fucking rude when subs come to me and call me mistress or goddess or whatever, like honorifics in general. It annoys the shit out of me, and it makes me really uncomfortable when submissives speak to me like I am their femdom, like I am their mistress. I don't know, it's just something that I find a pet peeve, really. So, although a sub might think it's proper etiquette and, like, being polite, it doesn't feel polite to me. It only feels like you're actually seeing me as a fetish object, like kink dispenser, when you talk to me like that. I didn't consent to you engaging in kink play, in fetish play with me, and yet you're doing it. Don't call me mistress. Don't ask me what you want me to tell you to do. It is really fucking rude. I don't know you. I didn't say it's okay for you to project your kinks and fetishes onto me. Yeah, I know I'm a femdom. I know I outwardly express myself as being a dominant woman, but it doesn't mean you can talk to me like that. It's just gross. And it's just as gross when doms do the same thing. Don't get me wrong, I think it's absolutely disgusting, especially when doms talk to subs in a derogatory manner, it happens a lot because somehow it seems to be the standard, especially with female dominants and male submissives. I can't really count how many times I've seen a femdom call a male submissive a pig, or a maggot, or a worm, or pindick, or something. A complete stranger being called these things by a dom. It is completely insane. So here's a lesson for both doms and subs. Don't treat your partner or your soon-to-be or wanting-to-be partner like a fetish object right off the bat. Because you need consent. You need to ask them, hey, is it okay if I call you this? Is it okay if I do this for you? Don't assume they want you to do that just because they present themselves in some kind of way. Just because someone outwardly presents themselves and says they are submissive, it's not an invitation for a dominant to treat them as such without consent. Same goes for subs and doms. I am dominant. Many people are dominant. That's not an invitation for you to talk to me like I'm your dom, and not an invitation for you to talk to me like that at all without my consent. Ask me first. Ask if it's okay. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You'll never know until you ask. And if you do not ask and just assume, I'm going to be pissed. And most likely I'm just going to either ignore you or tell you to fuck off. So, consent is important, not only in scenes, but way before a scene even happens too. This is very, very important and something I don't think people think about at all. Of course, you know you need consent if you're going to fucking beat someone up with a whip, if you're going to punch them or hit them or flog them or spank them or gag them. You know you need consent for that. But somehow, you don't think it applies to it before that happens. I think that is such a dumb thing that people don't really understand, and it happens to me every single fucking day. It happens every day to me. Every single day, some sub or some person even, just someone who isn't even outwardly submissive, but still sees me as a kink object, as a femdom, talks to me like I am supposed to be their dominant. And it's really, really dehumanizing and gross, and I fucking hate it. Of course, I love being a dom, I love being a femdom, I love being dominant, I love my subs. I love doing everything like that. I don't like it when people breach consent. I don't like it when people do unconsensual things to me. It is not okay. And I really hope nobody else does that to me or someone else, subs or doms. Get consent first. It is fucking important. Thank you so much for listening to this very angry rant about consent. I hope to see you again later.